I'm out here at the area of the Hinesburg Town Forest that we managed last winter. The birds are singing. It's a big, beautiful mess. Really happy with the way it came out here. I'm actually out here doing something that is very different from the way that we've managed the forest here in the past. I'm out here treating ash trees. Now, if you saw a previous video about ash treatment at the Catamount Community Forest, the principles of treating ash trees are basically the same. The goal is to protect these trees from the emerald ash borer, now known to be in multiple locations in Vermont. The closest infestations to here in Hinesburg are in Richmond, in Bristol, and in Williston. The effect of the emerald ash borer on our forests is going to be profound. With white ash, which is our most common ash species, we expect to have 99.5% mortality, more or less. With green ash and black ash, we expect an even higher proportion of mortality. So what this means is that these three species of ash, which have evolutionary relationships with insects and with plants and with mosses and lichens and other tree species, which have been co-evolving for thousands of years, are pretty soon going to be almost completely absent from our forest. And so that's a major biodiversity concern that we want to attenuate as much as we can. So how do we do that? Here at the Hinesburg Town Forest, we've been cutting ash trees to try and capture the value in some of those trees and produce local renewable resources while those trees are still alive, and to lower the hazard load of those ash trees in our forest. We've also been doing that to create openings to stimulate ash regeneration. So ash trees need a 1/4 of an acre opening at least to grow to maturity. So we've been actually retaining a lot of mature ash trees like this one here. Many of them at the Hinesburg Town Forest is marked with an L for legacy tree. So that's a tree that's going to be retained here in perpetuity. And we're trying to create that future generation of ash that will either exhibit some genetic resistance to emerald ash borer, we hope, or be the future of ash should we find a biocontrol or some other way of controlling the emerald ash borer in the future. Almost all of those trees that we've retained as seed sources and we've retained as habitat for those species who are associated with ash trees are going to die. And there is one thing that we can do to make it so they don't die, and that's actually to inject these trees with a chemical that will prevent them from being infested by the emerald ash borer. This is a process that is somewhat labor intensive and it's expensive, so you can't do it with every tree in the forest. But what I'm doing here today is picking a few special trees and injecting them with this chemical so that when the emerald ash borer comes here, they won't be able to infest them. This is a process that we're going to have to repeat every 3 years. And the goal will basically be, number one, to keep these ash trees throwing seed and reproducing, again, to produce the future of these ash species on the landscape. Number two is to provide habitat for those species that are associated with ash trees and may not have a whole lot of living ash trees to use as habitat in the future. And then number three is for the cultural value of ash. So in recognition of the fact that there may not be a lot of live ash on our landscape pretty soon, and we want people to be able to see living ash in the future, as uncertain as that may be. As I'm out here in an area where we've used the cutting of trees as a tool to make these forests more diverse, we hope more resilient, more adaptive, more rich with habitat for a wider array of different species, it's a really good reminder that in addition to wanting to encourage forests to be diverse, to have a diversity of different forest types and diversity of different tree species and diversity of different habitat conditions across our landscape, one of the ways that we can really ensure the resilience of our forests into the future is a diversity of different approaches as we navigate this really challenging and uncertain time for our forests.